In this video, I'll show you what works where, so you stop guessing with vegan egg replacements. Hi, I'm Inga, and today I'm gonna walk you through 11 different vegan egg replacements and explain which ones work where best. So let's begin. Over 10 years of working with plant-based ingredients and trying different vegan egg replacements, I've learned a thing or two and I wanted to share it with you guys. So first, I've got these 5 powder-based egg replacements. I've got flaxseed, chia seed, psyllium husk, chickpea flour and starch. So for the 4 of these, we'll need to add water to turn them into an egg. So here I've got 1 tablespoon of ground flax seeds, to which I'm gonna add 2.5 tablespoons of water. So 2.5. Next, chia seeds, 1 tablespoon of chia seeds. I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of water, so slightly more water here. Then I've got 1 teaspoon of psyllium husk, to which I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of water as well. And then to my chickpea flour, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of water here. So what you need to do, you need to let these sit and thicken up. So the flax seeds is equivalent, so each of these is equivalent of 1 egg. Okay, so down below I'll link to a document you can download, or I'll put ingredients down below as well, and also a nice PDF that you can download for yourself, how to use these binders or these vegan egg replacements. So this is chia seed. It's really thickening up quickly. So yeah, so you need to let these sit, mix and let it sit for about 5-10 minutes for it to kind of gel into kind of like an egg type goopy or gloopy consistency. As you can see, chia done that the fastest. Psyllium husk as well actually is developing into this kind of gel type consistency. If you wanted to avoid these little particles of psyllium husk, then you want to grind your psyllium husk into psyllium husk powder. So before hydrating it, I would suggest you grind it into a powder, because then you don't have visible little strands. So that's psyllium husk. Then this is your chickpea flour. So this is just kind of making a sort of a slurry, if you like. It doesn't like really thicken up until you start cooking with it. Here it just hydrates the flour and make sure there's no any kind of lumps and bumps here. Make sure it's all nicely dissolved before you start heating it up. And then for the starch, this is normally you add to your baking, so i.e. your cakes, your cookies, that sort of thing. So this starch will then react with your wet ingredients in the other ingredients already in the batter, and you don't need to add any extra water to that. So these are what's called binders and powders, okay, and each of them are better at one job than the other. So for example, flaxseed is quite versatile. It works for sweet and savoury, great for baking, fritters and burgers. I personally though find when you bake with flaxseed, it has this kind of specific taste. Can't describe, but I'm not a fan of that taste in baking, so I tend not to use this in baking. I tend to kind of have just flax seeds raw in my smoothies, which kind of is great, to add that fiber into your diet. But yes, you can use this for sweet and savory baking. Okay, with chia seeds, I prefer that. However, as you can see, it's much more denser, so it's more for dense baking. Okay, so also sweet and savory, but I find that chia seeds, you know, has less of a flavor on its own, and it's quite neutral. You can actually use whole chia seeds in this, instead of grinding it. You can, you know, soak the whole chia seeds. However, there you'll have like a little frog spawn almost texture. So yeah, definitely I would recommend grinding if you don't want a frog spawn kind of texture in your baking. So yeah, so that's more neutral, also sweet and savory, but kind of for more denser baking. It's not gonna rise very much, you know, it's not gonna make light cakes or anything like airy things like that. So think about, you know, about that if you're gonna put chia seeds instead of, you know, an egg. Then this psyllium husk, as you can see, it absorbs quite a lot of water, and it's great as a kind of a binder in gluten-free baking. So if you are eating gluten-free breads, you know, other bakes and things, this is perfect to add into that because it gives that kind of structure. The texture also kind of more for savory, although you can add it to sweet or neutral, so things like breads. So yeah, so this is great for gluten-free baking. I've also added it to vegan sausages and stuff before as well. Just kind of, it's like as a binder. Then this one, your chickpea flour. So this one is only savory, so you can't really make a sweet thing because chickpeas have, you know, their own kind of taste, but it works great as an omelette, quiche, fritters, that sort of thing. So yeah, so you would kind of make a batter of that with some spices, salt, you know, vegetables, and you could use that for a savory frying or baking. So that's your chickpea flour. The starch is normally kind of added as an egg to gluten-free baking as well, or it could be added, you know, into normal baking to kind of replace an egg. So this is 1 to 2 tablespoons of either cornstarch, tapioca, you could use arrowroot or potato starch, any kind of starch would work. So 1 to 2 tablespoons is to replace 1 egg in recipes. And like you say, you normally add this, you know, into your prepared batter already. And this is great because it's, you know, great for sweet and savory. Mostly used for sweet, I think, but it gives the structure binding, and it kind of helps the bake to stay lighter. So this is your powder binders. Then the next group, I've got liquid or creamy. So here I've got a silken tofu. And also aquafaba, which is, I made this at home. So this is water from making chickpeas, chickpea water if you like. So yeah, so this is 3 tablespoons of chickpea water, and that makes up 1 egg again. So that could be just added, you know, to sweet or savory baking. It's very neutral, it makes light bakes, so really helps. Sometimes you might want to combine actually some starch with some aquafaba, just for even more structure, you know, for cakes and baking. So this is really nice neutral additive. It's not as structural binding as, for example, psyllium husk, but it still holds some stuff together, and it's great to use it instead of egg white to make meringues, for example. This is great, like egg white replacer aquafaba. And with the silken tofu, you would need to use a 1/4 cup of this. So here I've got a 1/4 cup kind of measure. So yeah, so a 1/4 cup of this would be equal to an egg. and it's mainly used for sweet and savoury, so you could use it for baking mostly, I think it's used. Yeah, and it's quite neutral, so you could make, you know, quiches, cheesecakes, brownies, that sort of thing, so quite versatile. Maybe not as structural as aquafaba or maybe the rest of them, it's maybe less so, but it still works as kind of for structure and a little bit of moisture. So now the last group is more to do with moisture focus, so purees. So I've got a 1/4 cup of apple puree. It's looking brown because it's kind of, I've added brown sugar when I was making it, but it doesn't have to have any sugar. It could be just like apple puree unsweetened. So about a 1/4 of each puree. So here is another one is banana. So I've mashed up this little small banana. If your bananas are larger, use half of a banana, and you know, it's probably a little bit more than a 1/4 cup, but you're aiming for about a 1/4 cup of mashed banana to be added to things. So your purees are for sweet baking mostly, although for example pumpkin puree or also sweet potato, which I don't have here, so this is, I would still need to cook, because this is just frozen pumpkin, but you would cook this and puree this and you would need a 1/4 cup again. So it's either banana, apple puree, pumpkin puree, or also the one that I'm missing is sweet potato puree. So these purees are added to your sweet bakings normally, although like I said, the pumpkin can be added to sweet and savoury baking as well. And it's to kind of replace oil a lot of times and add moisture. So these are the qualities of these egg replacements, and they have less binding power than say these ones. I mean, banana has quite a bit of binding power, but it has a distinctive banana flavor. So again, you know, it might not be suitable for all of your sweet cakes. If you don't want to taste the banana flavor, you might want to add, you know, opt for these other binders or starch if you don't want, or even aquafaba for sweet baking that you don't want the banana flavor to come through. Apple puree is more neutral that way. You know, it's more forgiving. You can add to most cakes really without tasting the apple. So yeah, so these are the 11 egg replacements and how best to use them. I hope that was useful. I wish somebody did this for me at the start of my vegan journey. I had to figure it out the hard way, trying different ones and seeing that that doesn't quite work. Like for example, flax seeds. Yeah, it does have this flax type taste that I'm not a fan of, but other people might not mind it. So yeah, so you know, I had to figure out a lot of it myself by trial and error, and that's why I wanted to do this kind of the ultimate vegan egg replacement guide for you guys. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe for more videos. I upload a couple of videos for you guys every week, and as always, remember, food is fuel, so be mindful of what you put in your body. Until next time.